Hello everyone, in today's video I will be making these watercolor flower cards and talk about how to hold your brushes so it's easier to paint. I'm using a Fabriano watercolor paper pad, grain fine, 25% cotton and 300 GSM thick. It's glued on four sides, so with a painting knife I'm separating a sheet and doing some measurements to make smaller cards out of it. As usual, I tape down the paper to keep it flat, and then using a clean brush I wet half of the paper, you can see in the reflection, and then add my paint. This way I achieve a blurry faded background. Also, I want to create some textures, and during this video you see how I achieve that with different techniques, like tapping and removing using a paper towel. And as you can see, I'm painting upside down. This is because I want my arm to be comfortable and resting on the table and have better control over my brush movement. This is the topic I want to talk about in this video, and it makes the painting process so much easier. Every time you feel like it's hard to do some movements with the brush and putting down paint, don't get the direction right, try to rotate your paper and paint from different angles. It's very important that your arm is resting on the table, so that your hands feels comfortable. Also, I'm slightly tilting the paper because I want all the paint and water to gather at the other end. As you can see, I want one part to be super dark and then have this transition to light. This is going to be our background layer, and I dry it with the hairdryer before I start painting my flowers, crocus flowers, I think is how it's pronounced, and see how I'm putting down the brush and drag it towards me to create this natural shape. You can give it a try. Paint it from different angles and see what works best for you. This is how I feel more comfortable painting these flowers. So I recommend to give it a try and see if it's making your process easier. And I continue adding more flowers and dragging the paint. I have a lot of water loaded on my brush, so I'm dragging the paint towards the pointy end to get this nice transition between dark and light. Now I'm lifting up or removing some paint to create transparency. See that I'm using a paper towel to clean the brush every time I do this. And after that, I rotate the paper again to comfortably draw these straight lines. So this is the second tip I have for you. Try to do this sideways from left to right or right to left horizontally instead of from top to bottom. For me, this is much easier, and I feel like I have more control for making straight lines this way. Now it's time to paint our second card, and I repeat the same process for the background. The only difference is that this time I'm going to use slightly more vibrant colors. For this one, I want to paint some poppy flowers and see how I rotate my brush to create irregular abstract shapes. And again, I rotate the paper to create the stems horizontally from left to right. Now it's time for our third card, and this time I'm not painting upside down, and that is because the shape of the flower, I want to create these teardrop petals, as you can see. So what I do is that I start with the pointy end of the brush, put it down, and then drag it towards me. One important detail for this one is to let the yellow part, the middle part, to dry completely before adding the petals, and leave some space in between petals and the center part so that the colors don't blend. Like in this case, if the blue would blend with the yellow, I would create some greens, which I don't want in this case. And to create some more variation, I'm adding smaller flowers with petals pointing upwards. Now using a rigger brush, I want to create these swirly little grasses. So I started to paint it this way, starting with the end of the grass and then doing the round shape. It wasn't very easy to do. So again, I rotate the paper and do it the other way around. So this time I put down a dot and then create this rounded shape, drag it and lift up the brush. It was much easier for me, and I recommend you to explore this technique, give it a try, and please let me know if you found it helpful. And this was the last tip I had for you when it comes to uh, how to hold the brush and work with the brush in this tutorial. It might sound very basic, very simple, but I promise it will make the difference. And these tiny details about how to hold the brush, how to let your arms be rested when painting and feeling more relaxed in the process. Now with this corner cutter, I'm cutting the pointy edges of my cards to give it a more vintage feeling. I really love it. And if you enjoyed watching this tutorial, please support me and my channel by giving it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos like this. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to share with me in the comment section below. Happy painting and thank you for watching.